Prynhawn everyone. It's great to see you all. Thanks ever so much for attending. I'm delighted that we have this fantastic panel of Welsh women to educate and entertain us this afternoon. And I'm very, very pleased to welcome DAC's chair, Dr. Natasha Hurst, to say a few words and introduce the speakers. So, croeso and diolch, Natasha.
Thank you very much, Sarah, and welcome everyone. It's an event that I've been really excited about, actually. To introduce myself properly, so yes, I'm Dr. Natasha Hurst, and I have long brown hair. I'm in my early 40s and have a yellow hoodie on with an office background behind me. And one of the reasons that I'm very excited about today's event is, firstly, I think it's going to be fascinating, but also as someone who was born deaf, language is a theme that has, played a really big part in my life. I was born into a hearing family, and I didn't have access to British Sign Language as a child. So that had an impact on my sense of self, my sense of identity, my sense of belonging. Where do I fit in this world, and what is my place? Who am I? Those are all really important questions that I think affect all of us. And certainly as I've grown older, I've been able to learn British Sign Language, and my excellent tutor, Sarah Lawrence, is one of our panelists today. And also kind of becoming able to appreciate the culture around the deaf community. And there's a massive parallel with that to Welsh language, Welsh culture, Welsh heritage. And all of that links in for me with the arts, because art itself is a form of expression. It's a form of being able to say who we are and what matters to us as people. And it supports us to connect to each other through the art that we do. So to bring all of those themes together into this talk today, language and culture and heritage and art, is just, I think, really wonderful. So I'm looking forward very much to seeing what all of our panelists bring to this. And I'll start off with introducing our first speaker. So delighted to welcome Professor Ellen Have-Griffith-Jones, who is the Director of the University of Wales Centre for Advanced Welsh and Celtic Studies and Professor of Linguistic Diversity in the Creative Sector. I think that's a very exciting title that you have, actually. With 3 decades of experience of working in the field of European minority languages, Ellen was appointed by the Council of Europe's expert group for the 20th anniversary of the European Charter of Regional or Minority in 2018. So since 2019, she's the Vice President of the European Languages Equality Network. And I'm really delighted to welcome you, and thank you for being with us.
Diolch yn fawr iawn. Thanks very much, Natasha, for that very warm welcome. And I'm absolutely delighted to have been invited to take part in the session today. It's a wonderful opportunity, I think, to share experiences. And I think that for me, that's one of the most important things that I've learned over the past 3 decades of working in the field of minority languages. It's that idea of sharing experiences. A maes yr ieithoedd lleiafrifol, dwi'n meddwl, yn faes eang iawn, a dydy o ddim bob amser lawer o bwys, pwy sy'n rhannu pa fath o brofiadau hefo pwy, achos mae gennym ni gyd gymaint i ddysgu o'n profiadau ieithyddol yn gilydd. Mae profiad o ddefnyddio un iaith leiafrifol yn gallu bod yn wahanol iawn i brofiad byw o ddefnyddio iaith leiafrifol arall. A Yn amlwg, mae'r profiad sydd gen i yn y mywyd i hyd yma, yr oedran ac ydw i yn fy 50au cynnar felly. Mae'r profiad sydd gen i fi o siarad Cymraeg yn y teulu bob dydd, hefo llawer iawn o'n nghydweithwyr, dwi'n defnyddio Cymraeg yn broffesiynol, dwi'n siarad Cymraeg efo bobl o dafodieithoedd gwahanol i fi, dwi'n siarad Cymraeg hefo pobl sydd wedi dysgu Cymraeg, nid dim ond yn eu teuluoedd neu yn yr ysgol, ond pobl sydd wedi gwneud penderfyniadau bwriadol i ddysgu Cymraeg fel oedolion, a pobl sydd wedi dysgu Cymraeg fel oedolion sydd ddim efo unrhyw gyswllt teuluol neu o ran lle maen nhw'n byw efo Cymru. Felly, i fi, mae'r profiad o siarad Cymraeg yn rhywbeth sydd yn rhyngwladol iawn ac sydd yn perthyn i sawl agwedd ar mywyd i yng Nghymru. Ac felly, mae'r profiad o sut mae rhywun yn defnyddio iaith yn gallu bod yn eang iawn o fewn cymuned ieithyddol hefyd, yn dydy, nid jyst rhwng y cymunedau ieithyddol gwahanol. Ac yn yn achos i'n bersonol, mae nifer o'r penderfyniadau dwi wedi cymryd ar y ffordd, neu'r dewisiadau dwi wedi gwneud, wedi arwain at y sefyllfa bod fi wedi nid yn unig cadw'r iaith o fy mhlentyndod, ond wedi cael profiadau eang iawn yn yr iaith hefyd ar hyd yr adeg. A dydyn ni ddim bob tro yn feistri nadan ar y penderfyniadau yna. Dy'r penderfyniadau sydd yn lliwio yn llwybrau ieithyddol ni trwy'n bywydau ni, dy'r penderfyniadau yna ddim bob tro yn dwylo ni, a dydyn ni ddim bob tro yn ymwybodol o'r dimensiwn ieithyddol sydd yna i benderfyniadau dyn ni'n gwneud. Ac wrth gwrs, un o'r penderfyniadau dwi wedi wneud yn ystod y mywyd i, nes i gael athrawon gwych yn yr ysgol i ddysgu Ffrangeg i fi, a nes i fwynhau y profiad yna yn arbennig iawn. Nes i wedyn astudio chydig bach o Ladin yn yr ysgol a chydig bach o Eidaleg, a mi nes i benderfynu bod fi eisiau astudio ieithoedd yn y brifysgol ac o'n i'n lwcus iawn i gael wneud hynny. Ac yn ystod y cyfnod o ddysgu Ffrangeg a Sbaeneg yn y brifysgol, nes i hefyd dod ar draws ieithoedd tebyg iawn yn ei sefyllfa i sefyllfa'r iaith Gymraeg. Nes i ddod ar draws ieithoedd fel Basgeg, fel Catalaneg, yn ogystal â dysgu mwy am ieithoedd fel Llydaweg, sydd wrth gwrs yn perthyn yn hanesyddol i Gymraeg. A mi nath hynny agor persbectif i fi, nid yn unig ar fyd a bydoedd yr ieithoedd hynny, ond ar fyd a bydoedd yr iaith Gymraeg, a hefyd sut o'n i'n teimlo tuag at fy iaith fi, a sut o'n i'n gallu mynegu y teimladau yna tuag at fy iaith i. Achos dwi'n meddwl, a dyn ni wrth gwrs yn grŵp o fenywod yn fan hyn, yn dydan, ond dyn ni'n gwybod yn dydan, wrth i ni droi o fod yn blant i fod yn oedolion, dyn ni'n gwneud taith dod i oed yn dydan mewn ffordd. A dwi'n credu bod gynnon ni daith dod i oed ieithyddol yn enwedig pan dyn ni'n defnyddio iaith, siarad neu arwyddo iaith, sydd yn iaith sydd yn un lleiafrifol, neu sydd yn iaith o dan ormes, neu sydd yn iaith fach. A mae'r gair iaith fach yn neud i fi feddwl am eiriau bardd o Wlad yr Ia, o Iceland. Enw'r bardd yw Sion. Ac un o'r pethau mae Sion yn deud ydy, does na ddim ffasiwn beth a iaith fach. Hynny ydy, beth yw iaith fach? Iaith sydd ddim yn ddefnyddiol, iaith sydd mond yn gallu dangos y byd yn fach i chi, iaith ar gyfer profiadau bach a bychan, iaith ar gyfer dim ond bod yn blentyn neu rhywbeth fel yna, a dyna beth yw iaith fach? Wel na, nid yr iaith sydd yn fach, nag e. Mae'r iaith yn fawr, ond nifer y siaradwyr falle sy'n gwneud yr iaith i'w gael ei diffinio fel iaith fach. Felly nid ieithoedd bychain sydd gennym ni, ond ieithoedd efo niferoedd bychain o siaradwyr. A pan da ni'n meddwl am amrywiaeth ieithyddol y byd, da ni'n gwybod rhai ystadegau, dydyn? Da ni'n gwybod bod yna tua 7,000 o ieithoedd yn y byd heddiw. Da ni'n gwybod bod yna tua 7 biliwn o bobl yn y byd, ia? Ond da ni hefyd yn gwybod bod 82% o boblogaeth y byd yn siarad dim ond 8.2% o ieithoedd y byd. Ac felly, mae'r cyfrifoldeb ar gynnal rhan fwyaf o amrywiaeth ieithyddol y byd ymhell dros 90% o ieithoedd y byd, mae'r cyfrifoldeb am gynnal amrywiaeth ieithyddol y byd yn gorwedd ar ysgwyddau canran fechan iawn o boblogaeth y byd. A'r poblogaeth y byd yn aml iawn sydd yn eitha tlawd, yn ddibreintiedig ac ymhell iawn o ganolfannau grym. Felly, mae'r cwestiwn hefyd yn codi, i ba raddau mae'n gyfrifoldeb arno ni i gyd i fod yn ysgwyddo amrywiaeth ieithyddol yn y byd. Ac un ffordd sydd gennym ni o ysgwyddo'r amrywiaeth ieithyddol honno ydy i drio ymgyrchu dros yn ieithoedd yn hunain ac dros amrywiaeth ieithyddol yn y byd. Dydy ymgyrchu ddim yn air bytyr o gwbl. Mae ymgyrchu yn gwbl hanfodol i newid cymdeithas gwell. Ac un o'r pethau dwi'n meddwl sydd wedi fy ysbrydoli fi ar hyd yr adeg o weithio yn y maes yma ydy cael syniadau newydd drwy weld fy sefyllfa'r iaith Gymraeg o bersbectif rhywun arall, drwy edrych ar sefyllfa iaith arall o'n bersbectif ni, a cael syniadau newydd, a gweld y byd mewn ffordd gwahanol, ac mae'r ymrymuso yna yn help i ni ymgyrchu. Achos un o'r problemau sydd gennym ni, nid yn unig yn y wladwriaeth yma, ond mewn sawl rhan arall o'r byd, ydy bod yna gymaint o bwyslais ar wneud pethau yn un ieithog ac yn uniaeth, a rhoi persbectif neu ffrâm uniaethog ar sut mae bywyd. Da ni ond yn gorau edrych ar un benod o EastEnders, a gweld sut mae cyfrwng, sut mae teledu yn yr achos yna yn gallu troi reality amlieithog i fewn i gynnyrch un ieithog. Da ni'n edrych ar o gwmpas y byd masnachol, o gwmpas yn arwyddion ni yma yng Nghymru, yndan, da ni'n gweld arwyddion dwyieithog, ond mae'r tirlun ieithyddol yna yn hollol wahanol i beth sydd yn digwydd yng ngweddill y wladwriaeth. Felly, mae trio amlygu y profiadau o fod yn byw mewn cymdeithas amlieithog, trio codi statws presenoldeb, gwelededd, ieithoedd gwahanol, ieithoedd sy'n cael eu siarad, a ieithoedd sydd yn cael eu arwyddo, yn bwysig iawn ac yn gyd gyfrifoldeb i ni gyd. Dwi eisiau just cloi rwan efo, dwi'n cloi gyflym iawn. Dwi eisiau just cloi rwan efo sylw byr gan aelod seneddol Ewropeaidd Adam Chosa. Nes i gwrdd ag Adam Chosa yn ôl yn degawd diwetha. Mae o bod yr aelod seneddol Ewropeaidd bydda'r cyntaf i gael ei ethol. Ac wrth iddo fo gael ei ethol, un o'r pethau ddywedodd oedd, mae pobl wastad yn fy llongyfarch fi ar y gamp rhyfeddol dwi wedi wneud drwy ddod yn aelod seneddol Ewropeaidd a finna'n fyddar. Dwi ddim yn hapus efo hynny, medda fo. Dwi ddim yn chwilio am gyfleoedd i'r bobl arbennig o glyfar, i'r bobl sydd yn rhagori yn ei meysydd i gael yr amlygrwydd yna. Cydraddoldeb go iawn i fi, medda fo, ydy bod y mediocre sydd yn fyddar yn gallu llwyddo yn yr un ffordd a mae'r mediocre sydd ddim yn fyddar yn gallu llwyddo. A dwi'n meddwl bod yna wers bwysig iawn yn fanna i ni. Dyna bydd i ystyr cydraddoldeb, ynde? Nid bod y ser yn gallu cyrraedd ymhell, ond bod y cyffredin yn ein plith ni hefyd, bod ni, y cyffredin, yn gallu mynd yn bell yn amrywiaeth ieithyddol ni ac yn ein hunaniaeth ni ac hefo'r balchder sydd ei angen mwyn cyrraedd hynny. Felly mae'r balchder i fi a gallu mynebu y balchder yna wedi dod i ni drwy weld sut mae pobl eraill yn gweld eu ieithoedd nhw ar ôl yr ieithoedd hynny yn y byd. Felly, dyna chydig o sylwadau gen i ddechrau'r sesiwn.
Diolch, Elin. That was fascinating. It's so great to have you with us this afternoon. I forgot earlier to introduce myself. It's something I'm renowned for doing at DAC. My name's Sarah Beer. I'm the National Officer for Performance Art and Creative Word. I'm a white, middle-aged woman with far too long dark hair. It's my great pleasure now to hand you back to Natasha, who is going to introduce our next speaker. Thank you, Natasha.
Thank you very much, Sarah. So I'm just, I'm juggling at the moment, lots of different things on my screen. So am I right in thinking that Sarah Lawrence is our next speaker? Yes, good, good. I've got the order right. Well, Sarah is somebody who I have been very fortunate to know for quite a long time, probably 20 years or so. And, you know, I know from first-hand experience that Sarah is very passionate about helping to improve communication between deaf and hard of hearing people and everybody else, and in promoting British Sign Language, and in particular promoting Welsh signs and the link that the Welsh dialect of British Sign Language has to us here in Wales. And also,
you're absolutely right, Natasha.
Say that again, sorry.
You're absolutely right. Spot on.
Thank you, thank you. And also the importance of having access to British Sign Language for children. So thank you to Sarah for being involved today. I'm just so happy to have you here. So thank you. And over to you.
Oh, great. So just to introduce myself, and my name is Sarah Lawrence, and I'm from Caerphilly, and I was born in Caerphilly. I just want to check. And I'm a Welsh girl. I'm very proud of it. And I have a sign name, which is from my hand to my forehead like this, which is like a nickname that deaf people give each other. I have a real strong theory, and that we should be a gut feeling that we should always look at what we can do and not what we can't do. Are we ready, everybody? So I want to thank you as well for inviting me today. This is really exciting, and being here today. You know that the Welsh nation is very proud of their nationalism, and it's really important to me, and it's an opportunity to speak about this today. Typically in the United States of America, school children recite their Pledge of Allegiance every day. That generates a great national pride and passion, and it's not uncommon for Americans to place their hands on the heart when their national anthem is being played. In the majority of countries around the world, national pride is visible through the flying of their national flag, an insignia on a postage stamp, and maybe on currency, and by its citizens singing of the national anthem. And it shows where they're from. According to Waterman, there is a commonly held belief that the national anthem have a unique power over people. There are means by which people who, unknown to one another, sing in the same verses to the same melody, allowing each and every person to sing to the music of the whole nation with other citizens of that nation. It's the simplest and yet possibly the most effective way to bring people together as a collective. And I wholeheartedly agree with the importance placed on a cultural identity through the national anthem set out by Waterman. But with one fundamental point of disagreement, he states, needs are a small but important caveat unless you are deaf. As a deaf girl growing up, I was passionate about my country, its history and culture as anyone. I dressed up on St. David's Day and bristled with pride when doing so. However, in school, when other students went off to learn Welsh, French, or have a music class, the School of Deaf experts decided I should use that time to learn to talk and to talk in English. Welsh was not an option. Waterman says that the national anthems constitute as a serious business, raising pride and patriotism, and of course he's right. It's just that such a view was not part of my schooling or upbringing. Like other deaf children, many other disabled children, I was denied access to my own national anthem. Sadly, little has changed today, so that when I meet young deaf people, they have no greater exposure to the Welsh language or the Welsh national anthem than I did. Youngsters who attend Welsh schools usually still get taught how to speak using English, which places a huge barrier between them and teaching. Deaf friends born and brought up in Welsh-speaking families often know no Welsh whatsoever. For some, the barrier to Welsh-speaking professionals, such as teachers of the deaf and speech and language therapists, means that they were sent away to deaf residential schools because parents recognised that they could not access education properly in the local Welsh-speaking schools, and that still happens today. Being sporty and coming from a sporty family, I used to sit and watch rugby growing up, and it is through the Welsh games that I first became aware of the national anthem being sung before the start of the game. Even though I couldn't hear anything, I could see what it meant to the players and the supporters. I was aware, but I could not connect. But I did recognise that I was missing out, and from a very young age, I developed a desire to perform my national anthem in BSL. Why was singing it the only way to show pride and passion in our country? There are other ways. So, having been denied access to the Welsh language growing up, I was, of course, reliant on an accurate translation of the Welsh into English to be able to sign it. And that proved far more difficult than I could have ever envisaged. I pursued that ambition for years and years, meeting many Welsh speakers along the way, but none of them were able to provide an agreed English translation of the Welsh anthem. I started to think my ambitions would be dashed, but Disability Art Cymru and the National Eisteddfod changed that. They came together to allow me to realise that long life dream. Most pleasing is that the people involved understood and appreciated why this was important, an important point in history. There'd been some literal translations of the anthem performed in sign, maintaining the English sentence structure, but translating into BSL, true meaning is entirely different. The Eisteddfod people were just amazing, not just giving me the English, but the also in-depth historical and cultural meaning of the words. I worked on the text for days, developing the BSL translation with some small element of artistic license. And the outcome has received an overwhelming support. standing on the stage with Sir Bryn Terfel to close that year's Eisteddfod and performing in BSL alongside him singing was a huge moment in the history of BSL and the Welsh regional dialect of BSL in particular. It was a world first and a signed and sung performance of a national anthem at a national event, and for the first time in my life, I felt the pride and passion of every Welsh person has felt every time they have sung our national anthem. People have told me since they have seen it, had goosebumps watching the signed performance, and I really hope this was just the start of a growing synergy between the Welsh language and the Welsh regional dialect of BSL. In time, I hope we might even be able to have a Welsh Sign Language. I would love to see a group of children in every school in Wales signing the national anthem on St. David's Day in the future. If you'd like me to close my 10 minutes with the performance of the Welsh national anthem for you, I'm happy to give it a go, but it's up to you. I'm going to check and move my chair. I'm going to stand up, okay? Can I just say that I won't be singing this? So we won't have obviously a translation into Welsh, but it will be signed.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Sarah. That was just brilliant. It was so good to see it again. And yeah, if this time it might be nice if we did it again at the end of the afternoon. Because I know there's some people joining us a bit later who would really love to see that. So diolch yn fawr iawn. Natasha, it's back to you now to say a few words if you'd like and to introduce Nia. Diolch.
Thank you, Sarah. That was I always just feel so proud when I see sign language being used, and especially to see the Welsh anthem being signed. It's just beautiful. Thank you. And I think yeah, Sarah's raised a number of points, you know, that really demonstrate the importance of language to all of us. And deaf children should not be missing out on that, and the connection that it brings to their peers and to the wider community, and also to their families as well, and that sense of identity and that sense of place that we all deserve to have, whoever we are. And so again, you know, huge thanks to Sarah for the hard work that she puts in promoting that and raising awareness.
You know, and it's about language. It's not about hearing. You know, people, you know, receive languages in different ways, and it's about equality in that sense.
Absolutely, that's right. So yes, thank you, Sarah, and we'll move on to our next speaker now. So we have Nia Skirm, and I know I'm going to make a mistake in my pronunciation here, but so Nia studied drama and theatre studies at Aberystwyth University, and she formed a theatre company, Cymru Theatre, 3D, with 2 friends after graduating, and has produced numerous bilingual productions touring around Wales and beyond the border and Edinburgh Fringe. You've done loads of really exciting projects, and you are now currently working with, this is where I'm going to make a mistake, I'm sorry, theatre, you're going to have to help me. I'll hand over to you, you can tell everybody where you work now, thank you.
Thank you, thanks so much. I'm Nia. My sign name is, I'm going to give it a go because I've got a sign name actually. My sign name is Nia because I'm short and I've got glasses. Today I'm wearing a headband and I've got stripy top on. And I'm a white female in my late 30s. I work for Theatr Genedlaethol Cymru, shortened Theatr Gen, you can say Theatr Gen. So I work for Theatr Gen as a producer. And I've been working with them for about a couple of years now as a permanent member of staff, but I used to work as a freelancer before that. And I used to work as a freelancer with other companies, and making the arts accessible and for all has been really important to me, you know, since working with Night Out, which is, you know, for communities, it's been really important. So dwi yn gynhyrchydd i Theatr Gen Cymru a dwi'n gweithio efo nhw ers cwpl o flynyddoedd bellach. A dwi'n gweithio cyn hynny ar liwt fy hun. A mae'r celfyddydau yn bwysig iawn i fi, yn enwedig celfyddydau i bawb. A gwneud hynny yn hygyrch ac yn gynhwysol. A nes i weithio fo dipyn o gwmnïau, ond un cwmni nath roi lot o ysbrydoliaeth i mi oedd Taking Flight Theatre. Maen nhw'n creu gwaith cynhwysol a hygyrch iawn. A nath hynna just wneud pethau yn lot cliriach i fi a rhoi lot o gysylltiadau i fi. So naturiol wedyn wrth gael gwaith efo Theatr Gen, oedd o'n naturiol ac yn reddfol i fi wedyn i yrru hyn ymlaen efo'r gwaith o'n i'n neud efo nhw. Da ni'n yn Theatr Gen, da ni wedi ymrwymo i greu gwaith mor hygyrch a cynhwysol a phosib i da ni'n croesawu lleisiau newydd ac amrywiol i'r cwmni. Ar sef cast ac yn y blaen ac oddi ar y llwyfan hefyd. A pan nes i ddechrau yn Theatr Gen, dwi'n cofio un o'r pethau cyntaf nes i weithio arno oedd, mae hi yma heddiw, oedd trefnu perfformiad arwyddo yn iaith arwyddion Prydain efo Catherine McShane sydd yn arwyddo yn fan hyn. Ac oedd hynna ar gyfer cynhyrchiad estron gan Hefin Robinson yn ôl yn 2017. A ers hynny, da ni wedi rhoi perfformiad BSL i bob cynhyrchiad teithiol da ni wedi wneud. Da ni wedi dysgu llawer ar y ffordd, a dwi'n siŵr bydd Catherine ddeud hynny hefyd yn siŵr. A drwy gymorth unigolion arbennig iawn fel Johnny Cotton, Catherine a mudiadau fel Disability Arts Cymru, da ni wedi dysgu ar y ffordd. A erbyn hyn, mae hygyrchedd wedi dod yn rhan sefydlog o'n cynllun ni, cynllun cyfathrebu ni, yn cynllun cynhyrchu ni, da ni'n cynnwys hynny reit ar y dechrau'r broses, a mae hynna'n holl bwysig, da dydi o ddim yn add-on, mae'n rhywbeth sy'n yngwraidd yr planio i gyd. A mae hynny'n cynnwys dydwch fideos, BSL ar gyfer cynhyrchiadau, ar gyfer hyrwyddo'r gwaith, unrhyw gyfleoedd sy'n mynd allan ar gyfer artistiaid ac yn y blaen. A da ni hefyd wedi, ers y cyfnod clo, wedi cynnig capsiynau Cymraeg a Saesneg ar holl waith digidol y cwmni. A mi fyddan ni'n gwneud hynny wrth symud ymlaen hefyd. Da ni ar hyn o bryd yn ail edrych ar yn broses castio ni. Da ni eisiau bod yn agored ac wrth recrwtio tîmoedd hefyd. Ac wrth edrych ar yn cynlluniau ni, edrych ar paneli penderfynu a bwrdd ni ar hyn o bryd. A da ni'n edrych i fod mor agored a chynhwysol a sy'n bosib. O'n i'n trio meddwl pan ges i'r cyfle i'r sgwrs yma. Dwi'n diolch o galon i chi am y cyfle. Mae yna llawer wrth gwrs o gwmnïau iaith Gymraeg yn gwneud gwaith arbennig, ond o'n i'n trio meddwl am y blwyddyn da ni wedi gael yn Theatr Gen. A yn ystod y cyfnod clo, yr un bwrsari wnaethon ni ddatblygu oedd bwrsari datblygu syniad. Ac oedd hwnna ar gyfer artistiaid anabl ac artistiaid o gefndiroedd ethnig amrywiol. A mae'r artistiaid yma'n ganol y syniadau ar hyn o bryd. Mi fydd Mared ar fôl i'n siarad, a mae hi'n un o'r artistiaid arbennig sgynnon ni. A dwi'n meddwl bod yna cwpl o artistiaid yn gwrando arnon ni hefyd heddiw, so helo i chi gyd. Gaethon ni 13 mynegiant i ddiddordeb i'r bwrsari yma oedd yn anhygoel efo 8 o'r rheini yn adnabod eu hunain fel artist anabl. A da ni wedi rhoi 6 bwrsari allan. Mared yn un o'n nhw, Sarah Louise Wheeler, Bev Lennon, Ifan Fleming, Emma Damon Thomas a Callum Wayman. A mae 5 o'r rheini yn adnabod eu hunain fel artist anabl. A mae'r prosiectau'n amrywio, mi fyddwch chi gweld, dwi'n siŵr, yn fuan o'r amrywiaeth anhygoel sydd yna. A un enghraifft sydd ganddo ni, a mae hi yma heddiw, ydy mae'r artist yn edrych ar gyfuno opera efo BSL yn ymwneud efo cynulleidfa byddar. A dwi'n siŵr, a dwi'n wrth gwrs wneud Mared siarad, dwi'n siŵr amdano'n hi nes ymlaen. Da ni hefyd mewn partneriaeth efo Disability Arts Cymru, efo'r bwrsari yma a bwrsari arall, a mae'n wych gallu darparu pwynt cyswllt o gymorth os ydy unrhyw un isio siarad efo unrhyw un yn y staff sydd yn wych. Bwrsari arall, da ni newydd roed ar hyn o bryd, da ni wedi cyhoeddi eto, ond cadwch y lygad allan. Bwrsari di hwnna ar gyfer artistiaid i gydweithio efo cymunedau arbennig. Ac oedd hynny ar gyfer unrhyw gymuned. Doeddwn ni'n wedi targedu yn arbennig, i fod yn onest, i gymuned yn Apple, ond mi gaethon ni nifer o geisiadau gan artistiaid oedd yn adnabod eu hunain yn Apple. Yn enwedig neurodivergent ag autistic oedd yn wych. Da ni wedi cael 5 artist yn mynd i dderbyn y bwrsari yma. Un artist, a dwi'n meddwl bod nhw yma heddiw wedi Liz Parsons, a mae Liz yn artist autistic sydd eisiau creu straeon, a mae hwn yn link really nice efo'r sgwrs heddiw. Mae eisiau creu straeon am yr iaith Gymraeg ac awtistiaeth mewn ffordd sy'n addas i bobl anabl. A fydd Liz yn chwilio am bobl awtistig a fyddai'n hoffi cymryd rhan mewn gweithio yn fuan. Fydda ni roi galwad agorad allan yn fuan. A dwi'n siŵr gall Liz rhannu i llai e-bost i yn y chat. Ac os oes yna unrhyw un fod diddordeb, fysa hi fod diddordeb clywed ganddo chi. Da ni hefyd yn ymwybodol bod hyder yn yr iaith Gymraeg yn gallu bod yn her i nifer o'r artistiaid sy'n cynnwys artistiaid anabl a byddar. Ac yn ddiweddar, wnaethon ni bartneri efo Canolfan Dysgu Gymraeg a Nant Gwrtheyrn i fedru cynnig cynllun hybu hyder ar gyfer y Gymraeg a nath o gael ei rannu gan y cyngor celfyddyda. Ac oedd hwn yn galluogi i llawryddion cael eu talu am eu hamser. A da ni mewn trafodaethau ar hyn o bryd i ddatblygu y bartneriaeth yma. Ac os mae'r adborth i bod yn wych, mae'r galw hefyd yn anhygoel. A da ni'n ceisio ffeindio ffyrdd i gefnogi hygerchedd. Ynghlwm â hynny, boed hynny yn gymorth BSL ar gyfer unrhyw artist byddar neu cefnogi unrhyw un i dynnu'r rhwystra sydd yn dod yn ei herbyn. Felly, jyst mynd yn ôl rwsyd i drio cwmpasu a beth ydy pwrpas heddiw a y teitl y sgwrs o pwysigrwydd gymluso pobl anabl a byddar. Ond mae hynny'n hynod bwysig i ni, fatha cwmni, ac yn hynod bwysig ac yn taro nodyn personol iawn i fi hefyd. Mae'n bwysig i ni roi platfform a rhoi llais, dwi'n teimlo, a dewis a phwer i'n unigolyn, i'n artistiaid ni a pob da ni'n gweithio fy nhw, yn staff, yn llawryddion pawb. A mae'n mor bwysig, dwi'n teimlo, ag i'r cwmni, bod ni'n clywed y straeon yma yn y Gymraeg, a bod y gynulleidfa Gymraeg yn eu clywed nhw hefyd. Mae'n bwysig hefyd jyst sôn bod ni yn dysgu a da ni yn gwneud camgymeriadau. So da ni'n ddynol a da ni'n hapus i addasu ffordd ni o weithio. Proses di bob dim da ni'n neud a da ni'n hapus i dderbyn unrhyw adborth ar unrhyw elfen o'r gwaith da ni'n neud. A da ni'n hapus i addasu i bob unigolyn. Mae pawb yn wahanol a dyna sy'n mor arbennig yna ni gyd. So da ni'n hapus i addasu sydd yn fformat, ffordd da ni'n gwneud ceisiadau, gwaith papur, sydd da ni'n gyrru pethau allan, amser gweithio, a sydd mae pobl yn licio cyfathrebu efo'i gilydd a ni. A da ni'n hapus i cael hyfforddiant, a mae hynny rhaid i addysgu'n hunan, dim just un waith, ond da ni'n mynd i addysgu'n hunan drwy'r amser, a mae pethau'n newid, a mae pethau'n symud yn ei blaen. So dyna ni, dyna fy nhwtsbach i, a dwi'n croesawu unrhyw un i gysylltu sydd yma heddiw ac unrhyw un sy'n gwrando ar unrhyw recordiad. Rwy'n e-bost i yn y chat, a da ni'n gwmni sydd ar drws yn Llydan agorad i chi. A unrhyw un sy'n sgwrsio am ryw syniad neu unrhyw adborth sgynnoch chi am y gwaith da ni'n neud. Fyswn ni'n wir ddiolchgar. Diolch. Thank you very much.
Diolch yn fawr, Nia. And there's some amazing opportunities there for disabled artists, but also in terms of the audiences as well, to have access to trilingual performances, to have access to the beauty of different languages being in use in theatre and productions, and also the opportunity to connect to different people when we're telling stories in a way that will actually resonate with them. So it's really interesting, really exciting to find out about the work that is going on there. And I hope that today's talk encourages even more deaf and disabled artists to get in touch with you and to take part in that. So thank you. So I'll hand back over to Sarah. Thank you.
Thanks, Natasha. Diolch, Nia, that was great. We're delighted to be working closely with Theatr Genedlaethol now on your projects, and it's brilliant to have you here today. So thanks very much for that. Okay, well, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our next speaker, not least because I've known her since she was about 9 years old. Marit Jarman is from Cardiff. She's a actress, performer, singer, and a graduate from the Royal Welsh College of Music and Drama. I worked with Marit through our work with UCAN Productions, which Marit was a founder member of, and has performed in many of their wonderful shows over the last few years. Marit's also performed at the Wales Millennium Centre with Gaggle Baggle and their production of Double Vision, which was very well received at their Festival of Voice a few years ago. Marit's recently finished filming with BBC Film on a production called Cardiff, I Love You. And I'm just delighted that she's with us. Before she starts, I want to finish with a fantastic statement she made in her bio for us. As an artist and writer, it is important that we make an effort to normalise disability within our society and to give a platform to those lost voices that deserve to be heard. It's having young disabled people like Marit really shining the light for other young disabled people that Disability Arts Cymru is so delighted to have as our members. So I'm now going to hand you over to Marit. Diolch, Marit.
Diolch, Sarah. Thank you so much. Diolch yn fawr iawn am gael fi heddi siarad gyda chi. Mae wastad yn braint mawr bod yna bobl sydd eisiau clywed fi'n parablu ymlaen. Felly diolch eto. Mae hwn yn rhywbeth sydd yn agos iawn i'n nghalon i. Dwi'n actores ac dwi'n sgwennwr ac dwi'n canu hefyd ac ar hyn o bryd yn byw yng Nghaerdydd. Ac dwi'n dod o deulu sydd hefyd yn cyfrannu tuag at y celfyddydau yng Nghymru. Pan o'n i'n 10 oed, nes i'n sal iawn gyda nifer o bethau gwahanol yn ymosod ar yng nghorff i. That's another story for another day. Ond ar ôl i mi ddod allan o'r ysbyty, o'n i wedi datblygu namgolwg. O'n i'n gwybod yn syth bydd rhywbeth ddim yn iawn. Fi yw'r unig un yn nheulu i sydd yn byw efo'r cyflwr yma, sef Stargardt. A mae e'n gyflwr sydd yn effeithio ar cefn y llygaid ac yn gweithygu y golwg canolog dros amser. Nawr, yn amlwg pan ti'n tyfu fyny mewn teulu mae'r celfyddydau o dy gwmpas di o hyd ges i'n magu ar set gyda'n mam. Mae mam yn actores sydd wedi bod ar Pobl y Cwm am dros 20 mlynedd erbyn hyn, a mae'n nhad i yn canu ac yn fardd, a ti'n meddwl wedi tyfu fyny'n gweld fe'n canu ar llwyfan. Mae gennau chwaer sy'n hun ac mae hi hefyd yn actores ac yn sgwennwr ar gyfer teledu a theatr. Oedd ei gyd yng nghwmpas i ac yn naturiol, doeddwn i ddim yn mynd i fod yn doctor, ond rhaid bod i yn mynd i wneud rhywbeth o fewn y celfyddydau. Es i i'r ysgol yng Nghaerdydd, es i Blasmawr, really lwcus. Es i Blasmawr oherwydd bod yna gymaint o support yna i bobl hefo namgolwg. Oedd na, am rhyw reswm, oedd na tua 7 ohonyn ni o ferched i gyd efo namgolwg yn yr ysgol ar yr un pryd, felly oedd yr adnoddau oedd ar gael yn anhygoel. Ac nes i penderfyniad fel person ifanc i aros mewn addysg Cymraeg. Fi'n credu fel person anabl, fel pobl anabl, dyn ni gyd yn, wel, dyn ni gyd, ond mae lot fawr ohonyn ni'n cyrraedd pwynt yn ein addysg lle dyn ni'n gorfod dewis. Ydyn ni'n mynd i fynd i ysgol arbennig, falle hefo mwy o gyfleoedd, mwy o adnoddau, mwy o bobl fel fi, neu ydyn ni'n mynd i fynd i ysgol prif ffrwd. Nawr i fi, byddai'n mynd i ysgol i'r deillion wedi bod yn ddewis falle ar y pryd oedd yn teimlo'n haws, oedd yn teimlo'n fwy cyfforddus, ond oedd yn teimlo'n rili anghywir oherwydd doedd dim modd i fi astudio yn y Gymraeg mewn ysgol i'r deillion. Dim ond yn bodoli yn Lloegr, does dim un i gael yng Nghymru. Felly doedd dim modd i fi i wneud hwnna, ac oedd addysg yn y Gymraeg mor bwysig i fi. Felly nes i'r penderfyniad yna i aros. Nawr, dim ond stori un person yw hwn yn amlwg. Allai ddim siarad ar ran pawb sydd efo anabledd, pawb sy'n siarad Cymraeg efo anabledd. Allai ond rhannu yn stori personol i, a fi'n meddwl bod hwnna'n bwysig. Mae pawb efo anabledd sy'n siarad Cymraeg efo profiadau gwahanol, da, drwg. A mae rhaid fi ddweud, fi yn ymwybodol iawn, I have to check my privilege on a daily basis. Fi'n gwybod hwn. Fi wedi bod yn lwcus iawn. Ond tra bod fi'n mynd yn hŷn, mi nes i ddechrau sylweddoli pa mor anodd o fe i fod yn anabl a gallu cael access i pethau trwy'r Gymraeg. Nawr, oedd darllen yn rhywbeth oedd yn rili anodd i fi yn tyfu lan. Mae dal yn anodd. Mae probably, os chi wedi bod ar Twitter fi, probably yn fed up o clywed fi'n bang ymlaen am faint fi'n meddwl mae'n bwysig yw bod yna llyfrau llafar cyfoes Cymraeg ar gael yn hawdd i bawb ar blatfform ddigidol. Pan o'n i'n ysgol, doedd dim modd o darllen y llyfrau ar farddoniaeth trwy ffordd fel audio, oedd ar y cwricwlwm, enghraifft, oedd rhaid i'r ysgol recordio rheina. A wedyn yn tyfu fyny, doedd dim modd wedyn rili o ddarllen llyfrau Cymraeg fel entertainment. A does dim, mae yna cynlleiad o ddewis i gael i bawb. Ond wrth iddi dyfu lan a nes i ddim mewn i theatr, nes i sylweddoli pa mor wych yw byd theatr am wneud pethau yn fwy hygyrch. Fi wastad yn teimlo bod y byd theatr o flaen y gad. Maen nhw wastad yn trio ffeindio ffyrdd rili creadigol o greu cyfleoedd i bobl. Mae'r rhan mawr o theatr yw problem solving, a sialensau, ag gweud stori pobl go iawn. Ag i fi, mae'r cyfleoedd a mae ble dwi nawr yn bywyd i gyd wedi digwydd oherwydd theatr. Ac yn enwedig hefyd theatr Cymraeg. Na Theatr Genedlaethol Cymru rhoi un o'r cyfleoedd cyntaf i fi fel actores yn 2000 19. Nes i sioe o'r enw Bachu gyda Theatr Gen, Theatr Clwyd, Eisteddfod. Ac nath hwnna really godi'n hyder i fel person anabl, cael bod yn rhan o'r diwylliant yma o'n i wedi ysu cael bod yn rhan o ers o'n i'n blentyn bach. Cael gweld o'n nghwmpas i yn rhieni yn neud e, yn chwaer yn neud e, ffrindiau'n neud e. Ac am y tro cyntaf erioed, o'n i'n really teimlo yn rhan o hwnna, sy'n anhygoel. Falle bod fi yn parablu mlaen, mae hwnna'n sicr yn rhywbeth fi'n neud. Fi'n rhywun dall sydd yn cysau darllen a sight reader, so fi wedi penderfynu wneud y siarad yma heb unrhyw nodiadau sydd wastad yn ddiddorol, a fi wastad yn cwestiynu pan fi'n neud e. Ond, anyway, pwynt hwn i gyd i fi yw bod mae'r iaith Gymraeg i fi yn rhan mawr pwysig o pwy ydw i. A mae'r celfyddydau hefyd yn rhan mawr o pwy ydw i. Ac mae'r Gymraeg yn rhywbeth dylai bod yn agored i bawb. Dyw e ddim yn glwb i'r rhai. Mae'n rhywbeth dylen ni gyd cael gafel arno. A pan mae gen ti anabledd, mae hwnna'n fwy anodd. Mae'r cyfleoedd yn brin. A fi'n gwybod fel Cymru, fi included, dyn ni'n gallu bod tu ôl i hi weithiau. Dyn ni'n gallu bod yn slow. Dyn ni hefyd yn gallu bod yn really defensive. Pan mae rhywun yn gweithio ni bod ni'n neud rhywbeth o'i le, neu bod ni ddim yn neud digon. Ond fi'n really gofyn i Gymru i agor lan ag i gymryd cyfle a gweld bod yna angen. Mae angen i ni adael pobl mewn. Mae angen i ni greu mwy o gyfleoedd. Fel oedd ni yn gweud, fi'n rhan o'r bwrs rhyw datblygu syniad nawr gyda Theatr Genedlaethol, a fi mor gyffrous bod fi'n rhan o hwnna, cael datblygu darn o theatr sydd mae'r llais neu i gyd amdano anabledd i raddau. A mae hwnna i fi mor gyffrous bod hwnna'n cael ei datblygu, a dim just fi, mae yna sawl un yn cael ei datblygu, a fi'n siŵr bod nhw gyd yn mynd i fod yn anhygoel, a fi'n methu aros i glywed nhw gyd. Mae angen mwy, ag fi'n really gyffrous i weld beth ddaw yn y byd Cymraeg, achos y mwyaf cyfleoedd gawn ni, y mwyaf o blatfform gawn ni fel pobl anabl, bod ni'n cael rhoi mewn i'r diwylliant y gorau. Falle'r beth gorau i wneud yw, os oes gan unrhyw un gwestiwn ar ôl yn yr ail hanner, plis gofynnwch cwestiynau gan i ddechrau'r conversation yma. Fi'n meddwl bod e'n holl bwysig i ni siarad gyda'n gilydd mwyn y dyfodol. Ond diolch yn fawr iawn eto, Sarah a pawb am adael i fi i ddod yma ag brablu mlaen. Diolch i chi.
Brilliant. Thank you, Marid. That was great. You weren't waffling at all. It was brilliant. Yes, I'm sure there are going to be lots of questions. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for coming back. It's great to see you all. We've got a few questions in the chat. Alice, your question, I was just wondering, who was it for?
I'm happy for it to be answered by anyone, really. I didn't want to sort of target it. It's just sort of looking for any kind of advice, really.
Okay, brilliant. Well, I'll read it out, and then perhaps we can start with Mared answering this question. As someone with a non-visible disability, I find it difficult to access or even ask for support. Do you have any advice for overcoming this stigma and what support networks to go to?
Yeah, really, really good question. I don't traditionally have a hidden disability personally, but in my case, it can appear as a hidden disability. Not everyone knows that I'm blind as soon as they look at me. And I do a pretty good job of hiding it as a part of my job, as a part of my day-to-day job. So I feel you, it's hard. It has its pluses and its minuses. It means that you get to disclose in your own time, place, situation, like however you're comfortable. But also, as we live in an incredibly visual world that likes symbols and icons and things like white canes, we like things that we can associate with our understanding. That can be incredibly difficult. My biggest advice would be, there's no right or wrong with this. It's totally down to you as an individual and how you feel. But I found that the more I can start communicating and open up about my disability with people, the easier it gets. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have to become like an Instagrammer overnight and start like posting pictures of yourself living your life or anything like that, or telling everyone on the street. But potentially picking a few people, your friends, certain family members, one person in work, whatever it is, whoever it is, tell them as much or as little as you like, but those baby steps to trying to talk about it in the way that makes you feel comfortable will definitely help. It's helped me. The more I open up about it and allow myself to be vulnerable about it, actually makes me feel stronger. And I would look at charities and organisations like Disability Arts Cymru to point you in the right direction for like more specific support groups and stuff like that, depending what your condition or your disability is.
Great, thank you, Mared. Does that help, Alice?
Yeah, that's massively helpful. Diolch I ti, Mared. O'n I ddim yn siŵr os ddylwn ni gofyn yn y Gymraeg neu'n Saesneg, so thank you for that.
Diolch.
Diolch, Alice. Okay, our next question's from Wendy Jones. Wendy, do you want to ask the question in Welsh and then we'll have it translated? Diolch. You're on mute, Wendy.
Okay. O'n I jyst yn meddwl wrth gwrando ar y siaradwyr os oedd o'n bosib i ni sgwennu'n cynrychiolwyr gwleidyddol ni i gofyn am darpariaeth ar gyfer y pobl sydd yn ddall ac ddim yn clywed mwyn i nhw gael addysg trwy gyfrwng y Cymraeg yn blant ac hefyd yn trwy ysgol uwchradd. A prifysgol hefyd, wedyn bod o'n hawl dynol a dwi'n siŵr bod yna ddigon o deddfwriaeth yno, fframwaith felly'n bodoli i wneud ein cynrychiolwyr gwleidyddol teimlo bod rhaid nhw ymatab a pwyso am y darpariaeth hynny. A sgwn ni os oes ni fel llais medru roid hyn ymlaen i'r Llywodraeth yng Nghymru ac yng Nghymru lly.
Diolch, Wendy. Elin, have you got something you'd like to say to that?
Ie, diolch. Wel na, bendant mae eisiau cael llawer iawn mwy o integreiddio rhwng beth yw'r gwahanol anghenion ieithyddol drwy Gymru i gyd, dwi'n meddwl. Da ni'n gwybod bod y cwricwlwm newydd yn mynd i fod yn ffordd o bwysleisio sgiliau cyfathrebu ac yn y blaen. Da ni'n gwybod hefyd bod ni ar continuum ieithyddol, lle da ni hefyd yn trio cyrraedd targed miliwn siaradwyr Cymraeg erbyn 2050. Ac mae yna gynlluniau hefyd yn does am y Disability Arts Cymru yn arwain dipyn yn fan hyn ynglyn â trio sicrhau bod BSL yn cyrraedd llawer iawn mwy o ddefnyddwyr drwy'r system addysg hefyd. Felly mae'n gyfnod pwysig iawn i ni wneud yn siŵr bod na fwy o fynediad at addysg pwrpasol i bawb. A dwi'n pigo fyny hefyd ar un o'r pwyntiau nath Mared yn gynharach ynglyn â cael mynediad i testunau, llyfrau, chi'n gwybod, ar gyfer astudio, dydyn ni llenyddiaeth yn yr ysgol, a dwi'n ymwybodol o'r gwaith arall dwi'n wneud hefo cyfnewid fel Cymru, Wales Literature Exchange, a hefyd efo llenyddiaeth ar draws Sfinia, Literature Across Frontiers. Ac un o'r pethau da ni'n trio wneud yn fyna ydy mynd â llenyddiaeth o Gymru i fewn i ieithoedd eraill ar draws y byd, chymod, a cydweithio efo cyfieithwyr a cyhoeddwyr mewn llefydd eraill. Ond wrth gwrs, mae'r pwynt ynglyn â yw prif lenyddiaeth Cymru, cyfoes neu glasuron, ar gael mewn ieithoedd ar gyfer poblogaeth Cymru, mewn iaith llyfrau wedi llyfaru, neu hefyd llyfrau wedi cyfathrebu drwy arwyddeg neu ieithoedd eraill. Ydy'r gwaith yn gallu cyrraedd y boblogaeth i gyd? Dwi'n meddwl am lyfr fel Llyfr Glas Nebo. Right? Mae'n cyrraedd y cwricwlwm, mae o'n llwyddiant ysgubol hefo darllenwyr o bob oed. Mae newydd gael ei gyhoeddi yn Pwyleg, wedi cael ei gyfieithu'n uniongyrchol o Gymraeg i Pwyleg, gan gyfieithydd profiadol sydd hefyd wedi cyfieithu rhai nofelau eraill o'r Gymraeg i'r Pwyleg. Mae ar fi'n cyrraedd Arabeg rwan. Mae ar y ffordd yn Sbaeneg hefyd ag yn Saesneg. Wel, chymod, mae hwn yn rhan bwysig o'n treftadaeth cyfoes ni i gyd. Ac un o'r prosiectau sydd gennym ni'n cychwyn yn fuan ydy trio dod â rhai o'r copïau yma yn Pwyleg, yn Arabeg a pan ddaw yn Sbaeneg i gyrraedd poblogaethau yng Nghymru sydd ddim yn darllen Cymraeg neu Saesneg fel iaith darllen. A da ni'n gwybod am yr berthynas intimate yna rhwng profiadau darllen pobl. Felly mae'n bwysig iawn dwi'n meddwl bod ni'n sicrhau bod y cyfoeth llenyddol yna ar gael i amrywiaeth ieithyddol Cymru sy'n cynnwys llyfaru llyfrau a dod â llyfrau i fewn i ieithoedd arwyddog ati.
Great, diolch Elin.
Diolch yn fawr.
Wendy.
Sarah wanted to make a comment on that as well, if it's possible.
Oh, yes, please. Thank you, Sarah.
I'm not sure, thank you. I'm not sure anybody's aware that at the moment, the Welsh Government, and I've been involved with this, we're in a consultation group. Can you just bear with me while I just make this? Sorry. So I'm in a consultation group, so that I'm working with the Welsh Government. It's a working group, and we're talking about the new curriculum for Wales, and it starts in September 2022. And I've shared the link with Sarah and Natasha, so maybe you could share it with the rest of the group. They're offering BSL as a first language for deaf and a third language for hearing children that want to learn BSL. So that's a group that I'm working with at the moment.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Thank you, Sarah. It's so exciting that Wales is going to be one of the first countries to start teaching young people BSL in schools. Natasha, do you want to add anything?
and we need to make sure that more teachers are learning sign language, and so that they got obviously better quality of education to teaching sign language to children.
Absolutely, yeah. Natasha?
Just the point that I'll add there is about the status of British Sign Language, and there are parallels with the Welsh language as well. If you look at the history there, that British Sign Language still isn't properly understood as being a full language in its own right. It's not a communication method that's been made up to support deaf people. It's a proper language, and it should be recognised and celebrated as such. And not just giving deaf children access to it, but giving all children access to British Sign Language in the way that we encourage all children in Wales to have access to Welsh language. It's incredibly important. And the more that we see British Sign Language becoming as recognised and celebrated as we promote for Welsh language, the better for all of us, because it enriches all of our lives.
Brilliant. Thank you, Natasha. And where we've got quite a few questions in the chat to get through. Christopher Harris, is your question for Nia?
Yes, it is.
Would you like to?
Yeah, I can ask it.
Ask it, yeah. Thanks.
I'm trying to find Nia. Doesn't really matter. She's there somewhere.
She can see you.
Oh, great. Oh, there she is. She's right under me as well. There she is. Yeah, actually, this is, I understand this is more of a kind of trivial question, mainly for theatre again, but it just struck me whilst listening to you that actually the device Sibrud that you use a lot could actually be used more as an accessibility device, not just in terms of language accessibility, but also in terms of for those who are visually impaired. And this, I don't know if there's a question here, it's more of a comment, but there are, I'm sure that there are certain other devices within your company as well as other companies that could probably be jigged around a little to be used in a more accessible way. And Sibrud is one of the most brilliant things because it is so changeable and because it is such flexible as a device. So I just wondered whether that consideration had ever been made at all.
Yeah, am I off mute? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're there.
Do you want me to answer in Welsh or English?
Oh, to be, sorry, fi yn siarad Cymraeg.
O, ni'n siarad Cymraeg. Na, nid y Gymraeg. Ia, ti'n gwybod, Chris, mae Chris yn un o'n dramaturg Sibrwd wedi gweithio efo fo ers blynyddoedd bellach. So ti'n nabod yr app. So i bawb sydd ddim yn gwybod beth ydi o, app ydi Sibrwd sy'n defnyddio synopsis Saesneg, a dim ti'n gallu cael o ar dy tablet neu ffôn. A mae'r synopsis Saesneg o'r perfformiad yn cael ei lincio i, a ti'n clywed o mewn clust yn dy glust ffona. Cwestiwn da, Chris. Da ni'n edrych ar ddod a Sibrwd fel mwy o offer, fatha rhyw tŵl hygyrchedd. So da ni'n edrych i mewn i hwnna ar hyn o bryd, a gobeithio y gallwn ni gynnwys hyn fel i distir dy sain disgrifiad, fel rhan, so pan da ni'n ail-adeiladu yr app, allwn ni sbio ar hwnna, a fyswn ni yn gwerthfawrogi unrhyw fewnbwn gen unrhyw un ar hwnna hefyd, a fydden ni'n hapus i glywed adborth.
Great, diolch.
Great.
Can I just come in now?
Diolch, Nia.
As well,
Mared,
sorry.
have you got anything to add about apps that have been trialled for audio description that work along a similar line to Sibrwd?
I think there were. I did
lost
hear.
Your sound.
Oh, I think
better.
I am on. Am I here? Hello.
Yeah.
I think I heard rumours that there was an app that you could use similarly to Sibrwd. I think it was a Scottish developed app that you could use for audio description in the same way as Sibrwd. But there isn't anything that I know of that is readily available. I'd love to be proven wrong. I really hope there is. But I have experience of Sibrwd and have friends of mine who have used it. One being somebody who is Welsh but they don't speak Welsh, who has a visual impairment, and used it to see Merched Caerdydd and Nosar yn Lohyd and really wished, because it was so close to being perfect for him in terms of what on earth is going on, and visually what on earth was going on. It was so close to bringing audio description and synopsis together, but it just quite wasn't. And I think there is that need, and people would definitely use it. So I'm just really excited, and I'm here to help if I can in any way with the development of that.
Brilliant. That's great to know. Yeah. Diolch. I know Elin wants to come in now as well.
Just very briefly, I was involved with Caris Ifan at Theatre Again at the time as well in the trialling of Sibrwd right in the early stages. I think Mared was also a part of another project that we worked on with UCAN there. But one of the things that came out of the very early trials of Sibrwd was that it was being used by people who had visual impairments as well as by people who also had hearing impairments, and so that you could glance in the dark as well in the theatre environment and do some kind of catch up as well too. So it actually did work as a limited accessibility tool in the early stages as well, and we identified that. But clearly it's been prioritized for other purposes now, but that capability is clearly there, but it needs to be refined to become a more useful tool for those purposes.
Brilliant. Diolch, Elin. Chris, did you have another question for Mared?
I did. I hope that's all right. Speaking as a writer-director, consciously aware of what the right questions are to ask when inviting someone into a process that might identify as having a disability or a condition. And I'm always cautious and wary of, okay, when is the appropriate moment to ask the questions about what can I do to you to help? How can I make the room more accessible? Do I ask any questions at all? What's the kind of sensitivity meter that someone like myself should be aware of? And I guess what I'm asking is, what questions should I be asking whilst preparing a rehearsal room?
That's quite
good question.
There's quite a long answer to that one, but Mared, have a go at doing the 5-second version.
As the voice right now of all disabled people, I will take on this enormous burden of making sure that every rehearsal room is accessible for everyone forever. No, I can't, but I will say questions for me is a must. Relevant questions, relevant being the key word. Things that you find intriguing and are not necessary. I think it depends what the job is. It's how can I make this better? Can I make this better in order for you to do your job and for you to do the best and feel comfortable in this room? I suppose the same way that you would for any other person working in that space. You will always have an individual different opinion because we are all different and have different needs and different levels of sensitivity. I think the best way is to say, can I do anything? Wait for the reply. And if not, I think the knowing that I can come up to you and ask for help or ask for something, knowing that that kind of door is open is huge. Once someone has bridged the gap, made that initial connection, I think it's so much easier post that. But I would tackle it as an individual basis each time, depending on the work and the person, personally.
Yeah.
And I think all disabled people would agree.
No, that's very true. Thank you, Mared. Also to say to you, Christopher, if you want, it is the sort of advice that we do give out at Disability Arts Cymru. So if you want to get in touch with us, if you've got a specific project in mind you'd like to talk through the access with us, then absolutely fine, do get in touch.
Great, diolch yn fawr.
That's something we do. Okay, now then, I haven't got access to the full screen. Has anybody got any? Oh, Sarah wants to say something. Sorry, just gonna say, has anybody got any questions? And Sarah has.
Sorry, just pinning.
Yeah, that's fine. Diolch.
Well, it was more that I just wanted to add my thoughts, really. It's important to empower all disabled people, you know, in terms of their life experiences. They will have solutions and they will have ways of working that, you know, are important to them in their everyday lives. So it's about asking people what works for them. Well, that's it, really.
Diolch. Thank you, Sarah. Has anybody else got any questions that I can't see hands up? Natasha, while I'm scrolling through to wave at people, is there anything you'd like to say?
I think we've had a really fascinating conversation that's looked at so many different aspects of language and culture and identity. I think Wendy asked a question. She mentioned human rights, and to me, you know, this is very much about our human rights and not just our basic rights to have an accessible home or access to healthcare, access to education, but our human rights to be full and active participants in our communities. And that includes language, it includes culture, it includes art. All of these things that we're talking about today, those are the things that give us fulfilling lives, and everybody has the right to access that. But not everybody in practice does have access to it. And that is something that we can only change by collectively and proactively making the effort to take those barriers away, to keep sharing people's voices in whatever language it is that they choose to share their voice through. And I think we've talked about some really important issues, and very much thank you to everybody for all of your contributions today.
Absolutely. Thank you, Natasha. Before we go, Eileen would like to add something.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where she's gone, but
here I am. Fan hyn. Diolch yn fawr.
Eileen.
Okay, thanks. Diolch yn fawr. I just wanted to actually make one point about internationalization and accessibility and so on. Un rhan o'n waith i, fel dwi wedi deud, ydy gweithio fo cyfnewid fel ein Cymru a llenyddiaeth ar draws ffiniau. Ac mae bwysig iawn i ni bod ni'n gallu cyfrannu at ddatblygu gyrfaoedd artistiaid, yn enwedig artistiaid llenyddol, yn rhyngwladol felly. Ac un o'r prosiectau dyn ni bod yn gweithio arnyn nhw'n ddiweddar ydy gweithio hefo artistiaid sydd yn ffoaduriaid neu wedi gorfod symud gwledydd am resymau gwleidyddol, gweithio ar draws rhwydwaith Ewropeaidd ar gyfer hyn, i sicrhau bod yr sectorau creadigol yn ddigon cynhwysol i alluogi awduron sy'n ffoaduriaid i ddatblygu elfen ryngwladol i'w gyrfaoedd nhw fel rhan o ddatblygu proffesiynol. Ac ar hyn o bryd rwan, da ni'n cydweithio hefo Disability Arts Cymru ag hefo Gwyl Makassar yn Indonesia mewn prosiect sydd wedi gefnogi gan y Cyngor Prydeinig, lle da ni eisiau dod ag artistiaid sydd yn defnyddio cyfuniad o iaith siarad neu iaith arwyddo i ddatblygu elfen ryngwladol i'w gwaith nhw. Felly mae yna artist wedi adnabod yn Indonesia sydd yn defnyddio iaith arwyddo Indonesieg fel ei brif iaith o, ond mae hefyd eisiau datblygu ei hun fel awdur ysgrifenedig yn Indonesieg hefyd. Ac felly, dyn ni hefo Disability Arts Cymru yn edrych i weld oes yna ddiddordeb yma yng Nghymru i artist sydd yn adnabod ei hun yn fyddar neu artist neu artist sydd yn defnyddio BSL i gyfathrebu fel storiwr, neu storiwraig wrth gwrs, i gymryd rhan yn y prosiect yma. Felly, da ni'n credu bod yn bwysig iawn bod mynediad at y celfyddydau, mynediad at ddatblygu hefyd yn cynnwys mynediad at ddatblygu gyrfa ar lefel rhyngwladol hefyd, os na dyna wrth gwrs ydy dymuniad artistiaid, nid pawb sydd eisiau gwneud hynny wrth gwrs.
Brilliant. Diolch, Elin. As always, I'm afraid that the clock has run away with us rather. I know that we could probably talk for a lot longer, but I'm afraid we have to let people go. So just remains for me to say a huge thank you to our fabulous speakers today, Elin, Sarah, Mared and Mia, and a big thank you to Natasha, our wonderful DAC chair, for hosting with me. And thank you to our communication support and to all of you for attending. And, you know, do keep in touch if you have any questions that you'd like us to pass on to the speakers, then yeah, do keep in touch, and hopefully this will be a conversation we will be repeating in the not too distant future. So yeah, thanks ever so much, and safe journeys back to the other part of your house. And you never know, before too long, we might even get to see people in a room. How exciting would that be? So thanks ever so much. Diolch yn fawr iawn, and hwyl fawr. Diolch.